Hey friends, before the story begins, please subscribe to the channel. It helps these stories reach more people who might need them. Hand in your resignation, or we'll fire you, my wife's sister said calmly, as if she were offering tea instead of tearing apart my life. We were standing in the glass corridor on the top floor of the company's headquarters in Frankfurt, the skyline burning orange in the late autumn sunset. Below us, traffic moved like veins of light. Above us, only silence and steel. Clara Weiss, CEO, media darling, and my sister-in-law, didn't raise her voice. She never had to. My wife, Elena, stood beside her, arms folded, eyes fixed on the city instead of on me. Why? I asked. My performance numbers are higher than anyone in the department. Clara tilted her head. This isn't about performance. This is about alignment. I understood exactly what she meant. Alignment meant loyalty, silence, obedience, and I had just refused to sign off on a supply contract that reeked of fraud. If you resign, Clara continued, you keep your reputation. If we fire you, we make sure every company in this sector knows you're difficult. Elena finally turned to me. Her eyes were tired, conflicted, but not surprised. Please, she said quietly, just do it. For us. For us. Those two words echoed like a lie, rehearsed too many times. I thought of my father then, standing in the rain outside a factory gate in Leipzig, holding a termination letter after he reported safety violations that later killed 3 men. He never worked in his field again. He used to say, "Power doesn't hate honesty. It just removes it." I had sworn I wouldn't live that way. I won't resign, I said. Clara's lips curved slightly. Then you leave us no choice. By Monday, my access badge didn't work. HR called it restructuring. Industry contacts stopped answering my messages within days. And Elena stayed at her sister's apartment for a while. That was how it began. We had met years earlier when Elena was still a junior analyst, before Clara pulled her into the executive circle. Back then, Elena talked about social impact, ethics, building something better. I believed her. But families have gravity, and Clara's gravity was enormous. Their father had built the company from post-reunification chaos, buying factories for pennies, crushing unions, greasing the right palms. Clara inherited his instincts. Elena inherited his silence. When I was shut out, I had nothing left to lose. So I started looking again at the contract they wanted me to approve. The supplier was registered in Luxembourg, but the shell companies traced back to the Balkans to transport firms with ties to human trafficking investigations. Not proven, buried, quiet. I contacted an old colleague from university, now a data analyst in Brussels. I asked for a favor, then another. At the same time, I watched my marriage collapse in slow motion. Elena avoided my calls. When we met, she was cold, guarded, like someone negotiating with an enemy. You embarrassed Clara, she said once, over coffee near the main river. You put me in an impossible position. I refuse to help criminals, I replied. She looked away. You always see everything in black and white. No, I saw it in blood and paperwork. Weeks passed. Winter crept into the city, gray and damp. Christmas markets opened, lights pretending warmth where none existed. And then my friend in Brussels called. You were right, he said. And it's worse than you think. Money laundering, exploitative labor pipelines, kickbacks flowing through consulting firms owned by distant relatives of the Weiss family. Not just Clara. Their father was still pulling strings from behind the curtain. I could have gone to the authorities, but I knew what would happen. Long investigations, lawyers, settlements, quiet resignations, no real consequences. So I chose another path. I contacted a German investigative journalist known for corporate exposés. I gave her documents. Then I gave her connections. At the same time, I anonymously tipped regulators in 3 different countries. I didn't want a leak. I wanted a flood. The story broke in mid-January, not just about illegal contracts, but about forced labor, falsified audits, and executive interference in safety reporting. Stock prices collapsed within hours. Police raided company offices in Frankfurt and Stuttgart. Clara was taken in for questioning that same afternoon. Elena called me that night, crying, shouting, asking what I had done. I told the truth, I said. You destroyed my family, she screamed. No, I replied. Your family destroyed itself. I just stopped pretending not to see it. Her father suffered a stroke during the investigation. Clara was charged with financial crimes and obstruction. Several executives flipped to reduce their sentences. Elena resigned before she was officially implicated, but her name was already public. Her career was over. She moved back into our apartment, quiet and distant, as if we were strangers sharing borrowed space. One night, she finally asked, "Was this revenge?" I thought carefully before answering. "It started as survival," I said. "Then it became justice. Somewhere in between. Maybe it became revenge too." She didn't speak after that. Our divorce was finalized in the spring, not angry, just empty. The company was dismantled, sold in pieces. Workers were laid off, yes, but many contracts were restructured under new ownership. It wasn't perfect. Nothing ever is. But the system that had crushed my father was gone. One evening, months later, I stood on a bridge over the Elbe, visiting Leipzig again for the first time in years. The air smelled of wet stone and leaves. The city had changed, but the memories hadn't. I realized something then. Clara had threatened me with unemployment. Elena had begged me to submit. They believed control came from removing choices. But real power, I learned, comes from refusing to surrender your conscience, even when it costs you everything else. I lost my job. I lost my marriage. But I gained back the part of myself I had watched my father lose. And in this world, that might be the only wealth that can't be stolen.